And it's time now for the newspaper cartoon of the day, which we selected from amongst today's English newspapers.
The president of the Baseball Association President's Council, Kalinga Indratissa, says he hopes to spread the sport of baseball, which has thus far been limited to certain areas of the country, across the island. Indratissa made these comments at a media briefing on the sport convened at the Sri Lanka Foundation Institute today.
In identifying the future plans of this game for Sri Lanka, we have identified a few avenues. It's not only the sportsmen and women that we should develop, we must also look at the other outside peripheral areas. There is a massive need to develop the umpiring and the coaching, and there is always the possibility that we could hand over our coaches and the umpires to other nations. Sri Lanka is going through a post-conflict situation. In a post-conflict country, one of the easiest methods to develop harmony between communities would be through sports. It is not going to be an association which will only talk about sport. Through sport, through this game, we will try to develop our harmony between the nation, between the communities, and also take the sport to a provincial level. I believe that it is extremely important in this post-conflict situation. But for the first time in this country and for the first time in the history of baseball in Sri Lanka, we hope to have a tri-nation tournament towards the end of the year.
News first, විශේෂ පුවතක්. ශ්‍රී ලංකන් ගුවන් සේවය සම්බන්ධයෙන් විපක්ෂය අද පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදී ප්‍රශ්නයක් මතු කළා. ඊට පිළිතුරු දෙමින් ගුවන් සේවා අමාත්‍ය පියංකර ජයරත්න මහතා ගුවන් සමාගමේ සභාපතිවරයා පිළිබඳව පළ කළේ මෙවැනි අදහසක්.
ගරු නියෝජ්‍ය කතානායකතුමනි, එක නිශාන්ත වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතා, දෙක අධ්‍යාපන පොදු සාධක බද්ධ සාහනුපෙළ විභාගය, තුන වැටුප් නොලබයි, අධ්‍යක්ෂ දීමනාව රුපියල් 2,50,000යි. ඒක 7යි දීමනාව. අනුර එක පරිදි වික්‍රමසිංහ රනිල් කපිල චන්සේන ව්‍යාපාර පරිපාලන පරිගණන නැත. නිහාල් ජයමාන ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ නීතිඥ වැටුප් නැත. ශෂින්ද්‍ර රාජපක්ෂ නැත වැටුප්. මනිලාල් ප්‍රාන්දු ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨාධිකාර නීතිඥ නැත. ලක්ෂ්මී සංගක්කාර නැත. නැත කියන්නේ මේ මුදල් ගෙවන්නේ අපි. සනක් කුක්වත්ත නැත. සුසන්ත රත්නායක නැත. කිසි වටුපක් අධ්‍යක්ෂ මණ්ඩලය ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ.
ජෙෆ්රි අපි යලිත් වතාවක් යොමු වෙනවා මේ අදහස් දැක්වීම වෙත. පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදී අදහස් පළ කළේ සිවිල් ගුවන් සේවා අමාත්‍ය පියංකර ජයරත්න මහතා. අපි ඔහු පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේදී කළ කතාවට යලිත් යොමු වෙනවා.
ගරු නියෝජ්‍ය කතානායකතුමනි, එක නිශාන්ත වික්‍රමසිංහ මහතා, දෙක අධ්‍යාපන පොදු සාධක බද්ධ සාහනුපෙළ විභාගය, තුන වැටුප් නොලබයි, අධ්‍යක්ෂ දීමනාව රුපියල් 2,50,000යි. ඒක 7යි දීමනාව. අනුර එක පරිදි වික්‍රමසිංහ රනිල් කපිල චන්සේන ව්‍යාපාර පරිපාලන පරිගණන නැත. නිහාල් ජයමාන ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨ නීතිඥ වැටුප් නැත. ශෂින්ද්‍ර රාජපක්ෂ නැත වැටුප්. මනිලාල් ප්‍රාන්දු ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨාධිකාර නීතිඥ නැත. ලක්ෂ්මී සංගක්කාර නැත. නැත කියන්නේ මේ මුදල් ගෙවන්නේ අපි. සනක් කුක්වත්ත නැත. සුසන්ත රත්නායක නැත. කිසි වැටුපක් අධ්‍යක්ෂ මණ්ඩලය ගෙවන්නේ නැහැ.
ජෙෆ්රි නදීම් මේ ශ්‍රී ලංකන් ගුවන් සේවය සම්බන්ධයෙන් විපක්ෂයේ මතු කළ ප්‍රශ්නයකට තමයි අමාත්‍ය පියංකර ජයරත්න මහතා පිළිතුරු දුන්නේ. ගුවන් සමාගමේ සභාපතිවරයා සම්බන්ධයෙන් තමයි ඔහු පළමුව අදහස් දැක්වීම කළේ. ඔබට පුළුවන් මෙහි පරිවර්තන ඉදිරිපත් කරන්න ඉංග්‍රීසි භාෂාවෙන්.
Thank you, Vasanta. Well, today in Parliament, the opposition raised questions regarding the Sri Lankan Airlines company. Now, in response, the Minister of Civil Aviation, Piyankara Jayaratne, expressed these views, the views that you just heard, regarding the chairman of Sri Lankan Airlines. In terms of education, Minister Piyankara Jayaratne said ordinary levels. In terms of wages, Minister of Civil Aviation, Piyankara Jayaratne, said 250,000 rupees as an allowance but no wage. Jeffrey?
Thank you, Nari. விசேட ஒன்று ஸ்ரீலங்கன் விமான சேவை தொடர்பாக எதிர்க்கட்சி இன்று பார்லிமெண்டத்தில் கேள்வி எழுப்பியிருந்தது. இதற்கு பதிலளித்த விமான சேவைகள் பிரதி அமைச்சர் பியங்கர ஜயரத்ன விமான நிறுவனத்தின் தலைவர் தொடர்பில் இத்தகைய கருத்தொன்றை வெளியிட்டிருந்தார். அதாவது அவர் குறிப்பிட்டிருந்தார், முதலாவது நிஷாந்தர விக்ரம சிங்க, அதே போல இரண்டாவது கல்வி பொது தராதர சாதாரண பரீட்சை, மூன்றாவது விடயமாக சம்பளம் பெறவில்லை என்றும், அடுத்து பணிப்பாளருக்கான கொடுப்பனவு 2,50,000 ரூபாய் என்றும் குறிப்பிட்டிருந்தார். அதே போல விக்ரமசிங்க நளின் கபில சந்திரசேன வர்த்தக நிர்வாக கொடுப்பனவு பெறவில்லை என்று குறிப்பிட்டிருந்தார்.
You're watching News First on MTV Sports and Shakti TV, and up next is a look at Action TV.
A group of parents engaged in a demonstration opposite the Minister of Education today, demanding the withdrawal of Circular Number 4 of 2013 bearing the signature of the Ministry of Secretary. The circular in question had been issued to amend Circular Number 14 of 2012, which bore the signature of the then Education Ministry Secretary's signature. This circular had even come under criticism by the Cabinet. The amending circular of 2013 imposes with broader effect the provisions of the previous circular, to which even the Cabinet had objected. According to Circular Number 14 of 2012, advanced level students were prevented from transferring from one national school to another. However, according to amending Circular Number 4 of 2013, not only students from national schools but also advanced level students from grade 1 AB school have been prevented from transferring to a school of the same grading. Attempts made by a group of parents, the Secretary to the Ministry of Education in May to convey their grievances about the amending circular, their efforts were unsuccessful. Another group of parents also met to the National Education Commission to convey their similar grievances. Addressing Parliament on this matter, the Minister of Education stated that the amending circular was drafted with the intention of providing those students from rural areas with the opportunity to enter schools with resources to complete their education activities. However, at present it must be noted that the international school students have been admitted to those schools with adequate resources. Those who engaged in the protest today attempted to meet the Minister of Education or the Secretary to the Ministry, but to no avail. It also must be pointed out that this ministry has not responded to the complaint compiled by the Human Rights Commission, although the Commission had set a deadline for the 25th of last month. Meanwhile, the National Education Commission, which is vested with the power to submit proposals on compiling the national education policy to the President, noted yesterday that any decision enforced with regard to education in the country must not contravene the national education policy. Copies of Circular Number 14 of 2012 were submitted to the National Education Commission at a time when the Commission was inactive. However, following the 3-year hiatus taken by the National Education Commission, there is no mention wherever of the Commission having received a copy of Circular Number 4 of 2013.
Well, that's all we have from this edition of Primetime News. I'm Arundhati Mudannaika.
And I'm Shayan Silva. Take care and good night.